How do you lead in a system where no one truly reports to you, yet everyone matters? How do you exercise influence in a room filled with ambassadors, diplomats and experts, with different cultures, different political interests, and different worldviews? Welcome to Leadership in the United Nations system. In the UN, leadership is rarely about authority. It is almost always centered on diplomacy, emotional intelligence, and influence. And having worked within UNESCO for many years, particularly in the intergovernmental setup, I have learned this truth. In multilateral institutions, leadership is not enforced, it is negotiated. Today I want to share with you what leadership truly looks like inside the UN system and why the skills required there are increasingly relevant for leadership everywhere. Let me start by the nature of leadership in the system itself. The UN is unlike most organizations. There is no single hierarchy in the way we understand it in corporations or national government. Instead, the system is multilateral, multicultural, politically sensitive, and consensus-driven. At UNESCO, for example, I've worked in environments where every word is weighed carefully, where every silence is meaningful, and every gesture is interpreted. In such a setting, leadership is not about giving instructions. It is measured on how much you can build bridges. That is, you're constantly navigating national interests, institutional mandates, cultural sensitivities, and diplomatic protocols. And if you lack emotional intelligence, you will fail, regardless of how brilliant you are. This is perhaps due to the fact that diplomacy is a core leadership skill required there. And many people misunderstand diplomacy. Some think diplomacy is weakness, others think it is avoidance, and some think it is compromising without conviction. But diplomacy in the UN system is actually disciplined leadership, which means knowing when to speak and when to listen, knowing how to disagree without humiliating, and knowing how to advance ideas without provoking resistance. I have seen proposals succeed not because they were the best on paper, but because they were presented with respect, patience, and strategic timing. Which means that in multilateral leadership, your tone matters, the language matters, and relationships are of the essential. And sometimes, leadership is not about winning an argument. It is about keeping the conversation alive. So if I were to name one skill that determines success in the UN system, it would be emotional intelligence. When you are constantly engaging people who do not share your background, who do not share your assumptions or your priorities, emotional intelligence will mean that you are able to read the room correctly. You understand unspoken tension and manage your own reactions while respecting cultural differences. And I have learned that in international leadership, how you say something often matters even more than what you say. And the lack of emotional intelligence can damage trust, freeze negotiation, and undermine years of relationship building. But when emotional intelligence is present, leaders are able to de-escalate conflict, build consensus, and maintain dignity in disagreement. This is leadership maturity. Let me now speak about leadership without force or coercion. As this is one of the most humbling lessons of leadership in the UN system. You cannot enforce compliance. You must always persuade. And progress in the system often comes through dialogue, drafting and redrafting, consultation, and patience. And leadership here will require humility, resilience, and long-term vision. That is, you must be willing to take a step back today in order to move 2 steps forward tomorrow. And this teaches a powerful leadership lessons applicable everywhere. Sustainable leadership is rarely fast. It is always intentional. Let me close with this reflection. Leadership in the UN system teaches us that authority alone is not sufficient. Intelligence alone is inadequate, and competence alone is incomplete. What really sustains leadership today is diplomacy, emotional intelligence, and moral clarity, with respect for human dignity. So when you lead in government, in business, faith communities, or civil society, the future of leadership belongs to those who can influence without domination and lead without coercion. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: leadership is not about imposing your will. It is about stewarding a shared future. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I'm really happy to have you on the leadership journey today. This is Aderemi Oladele, your companion on that journey. We share, learn, and grow together. And if this conversation makes meaning to you today, please let me know what you think by writing a comment asking you a question. I hope to see you here again next time. Thank you, and bye for now.